in South Africa is a very, very busy year. It's the year of the centenary of the African National Congress. It's also a year of conference, the National Conference in December, which will be preceded next month by the Policy Conference. And as a result of this, our leadership is dispersed all over South Africa. And the task is to rekindle the revolutionary spirit that propelled us not to tire until democracy was attained in our country. Yes, the dawn of democracy has been called a miracle all over the world, and the ANC seen as a remarkable liberation movement. Being the oldest liberation movement on the African continent, it is indeed remarkable, because we were the last on the African continent to be liberated. However, there was no miracle. There was a burning desire in our hearts and minds to make the transition from apartheid to democracy as peaceful as was humanely possible. Whoever coined the phrase, "it takes two to tango," really knew what he or she was talking about, because when a couple is on the dance floor, they are supposed to be of one mind. Their steps are synchronized, and the grace of their movements across the floor elicit admiration from the audience. Indeed, some in the audience, like me for example, will even go home and practice the steps, imagining themselves to be just as graceful. We are glad that we were seen in as that graceful couple. We are glad that we were also invited to make a contribution in finding a solution to our Irish brothers and sisters' predicament. Regrettably, that relationship, which culminated in our first democratically elected president, Comrade Nelson Mandela, sharing the Peace Prize with apartheid President F.W. de Klerk, is fast unraveling. The latter appeared on CNN not so long ago in an interview and refused to admit that apartheid was a crime against humanity. Another racist apologist, who ironically was appointed in good faith by Comrade President Jacob Zuma as Deputy Minister of Land Reform and Rural Development, had the audacity to tell the nation during a parliamentary debate that the black majority had no claim to land. He touched a raw nerve, because the land is a very, very sensitive issue that was central to the liberation struggle. This is a very emotive subject whose satisfactory resolution is pivotal to the strengthening and consolidation of democracy in our country. I do not wish to use this august conference as a platform to perform an autopsy on the settlement that led to our democracy. Suffice it to say, things are not as cozy as they appeared in 1994. The reconciliation espoused by Madiba was completely misunderstood by the majority of our white brethren. The white-black master and servant power relations continue unabated in our land. Racism needs to be fought and uprooted from its foundations if we are truly to be equal human beings. Sadly, South Africa does not hold the monopoly in this regard. Everywhere you look, the attitude of former colonizers towards their former colonial subjects is the same. I listened carefully yesterday as you were debating the reforms needed in Ireland so democracy can be enjoyed by all. I heard how you were struggling with British intransigence. Well, comrades, next year, 2013, will be the centenary of the 1913 Land Act that was promulgated by the British Crown in our country, which gave 87% of all fertile land to the white minority, and the blacks were crammed into a mere 13% of the worst parts. We wonder if this is even an annoying thought when celebrating the Diamond Jubilee. Sinn Fein has the same ideals for a united, democratic, non-sexist, and prosperous island for all the people of the country as we do in South Africa. You are familiar with the Freedom Charter that was adopted in 1955 by the Congress of our people and made popular in the international community by our late comrade Oliver Reginald Tambo. Reading through the Sinn Fein democratic program, I could not resist drawing parallels with the Freedom Charter. Our two parties and people have gone through pretty much the same motions, the evolutionary and revolutionary changes to get where we are. We in the African National Congress are happy that Sinn Fein also shares our belief that for as long as other people still suffer under racism and oppression, like the people of Palestine and Western Sahara, or forced to spend scarce resources like Cuba to resist being bullied by the United States of America, our achievements are always threatened. Today, the dreaded word, austerity, is not only applied to developing countries, especially Africa, but has become the buzzword all over the developed world to try and bail out the ailing capitalist system. You are wise to oppose it, and please fight vigorously to resist it before your country is destroyed by poverty, disease, illiteracy, and conflict born by the suffering, out of the suffering of the people. In Africa, of course, conflict is profitable for the multinational corporations. For them, it is always business as usual. After all, the price of our commodities is set by them, as well as the price for the finished goods. Unfortunately, their countries are also the primary consumers of these goods, and when there are economic or financial problems in the north, the south gets the influenza. The problems in the Eurozone and in the United States make us very nervous, as there are signs that another round for the scramble of Africa is happening as we speak. We will be happy, while we are happy that the Arab nations are standing up for democracy in their own countries, we do not think that the West is happy for the same reasons we are. The destruction of Libya and the ultimate murder of a sitting president does not augur well with solidarity as we know it. Comrades, 2016 is the year when Sinn Fein and Ireland will be commemorating the centenary of the Easter Uprising. Let us spend time the time leading to this important anniversary consolidating the fraternal relationship we have established over decades. This is time for Sinn Fein and the African National Congress to educate each other and our people on each other's struggles and achievements. This is the time we should spend exchanging information regularly and cross-pollinating to strengthen our parties and forging joint strategies to defeat the enemies of democracy. We may not wish away globalization, but we can use it to our advantage to increase wealth that benefits our people. Last but not least, remember that reconciliation is like dancing the tango, as we stated earlier. We who are on the receiving end of oppression tend to be too trusting of our former oppressors, only to realize it when it's too late. They caused and encouraged divisions amongst us, be they religious, ethnic, or regional. They are divisions all the same and are too far-reaching to paper over. These always come back to haunt us when we least expect it. The onus is on us to make sure that our people are united not only against class enemies, but also in building and consolidating our revolutionary gains. I thank you very much.